Batteries Included podcast is brought to you with United Chargers and their Grizzly range. The next generation of Grizzly is here. Meet the Grizzly Ultimate, the most powerful AC Level 2 charger for home use. With a maximum current of 80 amps, that's 19.2 kilowatts. Your vehicle could be charged up to twice as fast as a standard Level 2 and up to 15 times faster than a Level 1. And of course, it's Wi-Fi connected, so you can take control of your home charging, view stats, set a charging schedule, take part in demand response programs, and control your charger remotely. And that joins the lineup alongside the original Grizzly Classic. The Grizzly Duo, designed to charge two vehicles at the same time. The Grizzly Mini, a portable charging station. And the Grizzly Smart, a revolutionary smart EV charger. Those chargers can adjust the current from 16 amps up to 40 amps, that's 9.6 kilowatts. Plus, the Grizzly Ranger IP67 rated, built in Canada, and with the highest quality materials. You can order yours right now. Go to unitedchargers.com, that's unitedchargers.com. Well, hello.
All right.
Batteries Included podcast. I think we're live. Andrew's there. Dom's there.
I'm here.
Amazing. It is Friday 16th of May 2025, episode number 88. Today we are talking about a lot of exciting stuff. Debut of the Toyota CHR battery electric vehicle, the reveal of the Toyota Woodland SUV, and General Motors unveiling its new LMR battery chemistry, and of course much, much more. I'm your host, Martin Lee, from the EV News Daily podcast. Joining us today is Dominic Yoni, longtime EV journalist and host of the YouTube channel Drive Electric with Dominic, and a very special guest presenter as well once again this week is Andrew Lambrecht, EV enthusiast, contributor, awesome writer. Find him on LinkedIn, where he gives some fantastic insights, but also writes for the likes of Inside EVs, Business Insider, and Forbes. And more importantly, Andrew, I see on LinkedIn you just graduated from Clemson University with a BS in Industrial Engineering. So many congratulations. Hard work is done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
How was it?
It was wasn't easy, but I think I'm happy to have graduated, and I'm happy to have made a lot of friends through the program. So I'm excited. Moving out to California in about less than a month, actually. So I'll be working at a kind of an EV sales startup, and we'll see how it goes.
Amazing.
Is that the Ever?
Correct. Yes, it's called Ever Cars, and it's kind of like, we can think of it as like a CarMax / Carvana for only electric cars, because I think that's a huge area of the market that's not really touched upon, because you go to a car dealership, no one really knows how to sell EVs. So hopefully we'll try to fix that.
Right on.
We're looking forward to your updates. Well, we're using a new platform. We used it, didn't we, Dom, on Wednesday for a Battery Bargains episode.
Right.
Because for many weeks and months, actually, viewers have been saying, like, for some reason, some weeks, just the volume would be all over the place, and some of the contributors and presenters would be louder or quieter than other weeks, and we could never work it out. So we've literally just wholesale changed the software that we use to live stream. So there's a learning curve. So please, we're doing this, take this in the spirit that it is intended. We're trying to fix this problem. We want people to have a great experience of watching and listening to our live stream. We want, obviously, the audio is a really important part, so we want it to sound great. And this is all new. We are literally flying by the seat of our pants. We've done test runs, and we were here on Wednesday giving it a go. This is the first Friday show we've done with a lot more content and video and things like that. So be kind. We're doing our best. We're going to give it a spin. And, go watch Battery Bargains from Wednesday, where we find battery bargains for our viewers and our listeners. All right, let's get into it. And let's talk about Toyota had a big week this week. A number of headlines. Let's start there with the debut of the Pure BEV CHR. Now, the CHR nameplate was first used by Toyota back in 2016, and it was attached to a subcompact crossover, sold in different markets. Just checking that you can still hear me. Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Good, fine, good. There was a bing in my headphones and a bong, which is all new, but I guess that just signifies that you're showing a video. or that something's changed on screen. So I'm learning as we go. What are we talking about with the CHR? Well, it was sold in different markets around the world, but it was actually pulled from the United States in 2022. But it sells here in Europe. It's a good seller. Last year, Toyota sold over 134,000 units, mainly in Europe. The new CHR shares a lot of the styling language with the combustion version. It's a bit bigger than the original, using a modified platform of the TNGA platform, same as the BZ4X, that's ETNGA. Inch and a half wider, 6.2 inches longer overall, 5 inches longer in the wheelbase. The original has 19 cubic feet of storage. This one has 25. Performance-wise, you can't, it's incomparable, really, whole new car. It had about double the horsepower of the original and is all-wheel drive rather than front-wheel drive. Horsepower was given as 338, 5 seconds 0 to 60. Battery is quite chunky, actually, for the size and segment of vehicle. It's quite big, and 74.7 kilowatt hours, but only a range of 290 miles. So we still know that Toyota can't, for some reason, engineer efficiency into their EVs, because a big battery, not great range, not class leading. Charging 10 to 80, 30 minutes. That's kind of Tesla time. Again, it's not class leading. It's not the 17, 18, 19 minutes that we see. But it's passable for 2025. Andrew, we'll start with you as our guest this week. What kind of reception do you think it'll get when it arrives in dealerships? It's going to be next year when it arrives.
So I was actually just going to point something out. So within that video that I think, Dominic, you were showing, yes, if you look back like a few, like a minute, they showed they were like advertising paddle shifters, and they mentioned, they're like, yeah, right around there. Yeah. So it says paddle shifters, but they don't even describe what they do. So maybe it has to do with regen. I don't know. I just love that Toyota marketing. But I guess besides that, I think this is a really exciting car. You have 338 horsepower. It's a pretty compact form factor. And if they get the price right on this can be a really compelling option, because the current BZ4X, it's very hard to recommend that car. Even though they brought the price down a little bit, it's just not that compelling a vehicle. I had a Solterra for like a week last year, and it was just charged super slow. There was some, I think the best quality of it was that it had a lot of ground clearance, but that's kind of an aside. But this car here, the CHR, I mean, if they can get the price right, this is going to be a really fun, it seems like a huge upgrade over the BZ4X. And especially with all-wheel drive and 338 horsepower as standard, that's kind of a shock to me. I was thinking this was going to be front-wheel drive. So I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. And I'm really excited to see where Toyota is going to go with their EVs in the future.
Don, what do you reckon?
Well, I think I'm pretty excited about this, actually. I know, like Andrew was saying, the BZ4X, that's the only electric model that Toyota has had in North America, at least, and it's hard to recommend. It was kind of a slow charger. It was overpriced originally. Now it's actually pretty decent. I think it starts at what, like 37 or something, Andrew?
Yeah, I believe so. Around 37
and that's before the tax credit, right?
Yeah, if it gets a leasing one.
Right. So, right. It has to be leased in order to take advantage of it. Right. So that,
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good, but this seems like a lot more exciting than the old BZ4X for sure. It's like a little bit smaller. Yes, but it's not nearly as compact as the original one. The wheelbase is 5 inches longer than the original CHR, but it has that same look. It looks like a CHR when you look at it, like in pictures. But I think when you get up close, we'll find that it's pretty much more substantial than the original one. I think it's going to be popular. I don't know. I think it looks pretty decent.
For sure.
Martin was saying like the efficiency wasn't great, but it's really a lot better than it was. I mean, they've made huge improvements. So the battery is just a little bit bigger, but they've got a ton more range than the original BZ4X. So they get that from the let's see if I got this on these notes. I believe they get it from the motors. They just use a bit more efficient motors in this one. They're significantly more efficient. So it gets 290, and that's an all-wheel drive. So if it was just a front-wheel drive, it would be into the 300s. But Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. So it's also got the NAX charge port, and interestingly, they've changed the location where you plug it into, right? So originally, it's on the front passenger or front driver side front fender, but now they've moved it over to the passenger side. Which is kind of weird, except that I think if you're like charging at superchargers, you can just pull right up into the supercharger, and it's probably going to reach right in the traditional like version 3 of the superchargers.
Mm.
So I think they've went through a lot of trouble to make that compatible with that charging network, and of course it'll be compatible with all the other charging networks, and in some places too it'll be easy to plug in when you pull up like curbside. It'll be right there on the right side, if I'm thinking about it in my head. That's the spatialness of it all.
Yeah, the charge port locations are always so like difficult to think about because it's like there's so many different locations too.
Right.
And yeah, it's like where like if you're parking in the parking spot, where's charger? And yeah, I don't know.
But it's got to.
So hopefully that passenger side will work better than the driver's side for superchargers.
Right.
I would assume it would.
Right. But it seems like they got a lot wrong with their first car, and it seems like they've learned from those mistakes largely and have gotten a lot right. So this also has a preconditioning with manual, and also when you navigate to your charger, like in practice, I don't know how well it works yet, but that's how. Oops, I think our video's ended. Let's just hit that refresh so we take a look at it again. Oh yeah, we just share it up there in the corner. We got that's awesome.
That's
like we said, we're just figuring out this this whole platform.
We'll leave it there. It's like we're missing Tom this week, so that can be Tom in the corner. That's fine, just playing along to itself. So, yeah, that's interesting. So J3400 as standard, which you think would be, by 2026. Absolutely standard on many cars. What other bit they've been? I've been trying to watch the video as we've been chatting as well. They advertise battery preconditioning, which you can manually start or just navigate to a DC fast charger. Okay, it's quick, 0 to 65 seconds. It's very quick, all-wheel drive. I wonder why the charge speed is so. I would say so slow, but I mean it's probably it's Tesla slow, right? Which is half an hour, 10 to 80. It's kind of okay.
Yeah, I mean it's probably a little worse than Tesla. I think really probably a little worse than Tesla. I think, but
yeah, maybe.
At least it's not. It's better than some other things. Like this, I think it's faster than the Mustang Mach-E there, but Mustang Mach-E also has a larger battery, and it's improved as well. But yeah, I think it's right in okay. It's okay, but it's just not. It's not terrible. Like it might have been in the past.
If it does over 40 kilowatt, I think the fastest I saw in the Solterra was like 43 kilowatts. If it does better than that, that would be an improvement over the outgoing one. But that's a very low bar.
Right. And they've improved the AC charging as well. It had like I think this platform usually it was like 7 kilowatts. This will come with an 11 kilowatt AC charger on board. So that's going to be that's the charger people will use most of the time anyway, right?
Yeah. And it was kind of ridiculous too on like the outgoing one that it maxed out at 6.6 kilowatts because it's like you could have bought a Chevy Volt in 2019 that had a faster onboard charger, and so this should hopefully be a big upgrade. And I also do like the rear 3/4. I think is a great look on that car, especially with that rear light bar. I think it looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, I like the styling of it. It feels distinct. It feels Toyota. I think it's no surprise that the new Tesla Model Y, which was designed by the Tesla Shanghai team, does have quite a lot of similarities with what's popular at the moment in China. It is, the Model Y is its own car, but it does share quite a lot of things. If you'd seen it and gone, oh, it's the new Xpeng, you'd have gone like, oh yeah, cool, all right, whatever. Whereas this does have an identity. I think it says plug and charge technology on screen as well. All right, it's just called plug and charge. But it says with a subscription. So, and the really small print, which I had to zoom in on. So I guess that means they're not throwing in any kind of 3G, 4G. 5G connectivity. You have to probably subscribe to get data services, but okay. Most car makers kind of throw that in at least for a period of time. But
Yeah, I think it might be intro. I think it might be an intro on that. There is on some features. There's like a 3-year intro on some things. I'm not sure. We're still a little ways from this. It's coming to showrooms in 26, I believe, early 26. Let me scroll down my. So this is. Sorry, go ahead.
So in the comments, David says, I wonder if manufacturers will implement a retractable. Oh,
sorry, I'm moving away from your comment, aren't
I?
Sorry.
Charge port that can extend to reach out to charge cable. Yeah, Fiat Grand Panda, right? That's the one with the retractable cable. Have we featured that on the podcast yet?
I don't think so. No, I don't.
Oh,
No.
right. Okay. Well, that's a future car that we'll talk about on batteries included. Yeah, you open the flap it's got a coil, and you think over time, hopefully it's going to maintain its springiness. And yeah, you open it up and pull it out and plug it in, which is very cool. So yeah, they are doing that, is what I was going to say to your comment. But this car doesn't. What else have we got here in the comments? Do older B4Z get software upgrade for charging, says William. I don't know if that. I don't know. I think it was a hardware upgrade they made, so maybe not.
So just one other thing about this thing, as I think it's going to be. It should be like a really fun to drive car. I think that's kind of where they're going with this. Like, it looks kind of sporty, and they do make a point in the press release, I guess, to just like point out that it's got its suspension parts have been precisely tuned for the new CHR, including spring and damper performance and the stiffness of the anti-roll bars. That's not language you see in a lot of Toyota press releases for like non-sporty things. So hopefully it will have a bit of a sporty characteristic. Certainly it's got the power, right? 335 horsepower.
Well, I hope it would be tuned for the car. It's like going to a restaurant and saying, "We cooked your food, sir." Oh, thank you.
True.
Doing the suspension for the car. What can we talk about the interior? Because that's the bit that I'm not so sure about. I don't know if we've got any pictures from the.
Let's see if I can pull one up here.
Particularly the steering wheel. There's something about it which
it's right.
It just feels. I'm all about buttons in cars because I think we went too much the other way to just big screens and just the screen. And we're pulling back from that a little bit. I do wonder if in time screens will age well. I think it's a phase that we've gone through. I don't think it's the most premium of features. That interior looks nice. I quite like the landscape screen. It feels like we've got some buttons along the bottom of it for things like temperature for each side of the cabin and maybe volume when we were doing some close-ups of that. So it feels like we have some hard buttons. Beneath that in the middle, I think I saw a tactile hazard flasher light, which is always good, either to, in an emergency or to say thank you to someone behind for letting you out or whatever. It's nice to just have that handy. So the screen looks quite kind of nice. But it's that steering wheel, which, I don't know, it does feel kind of 90s to me.
There's a lot going on.
Is it because it's round?
There's just so many buttons.
Oh yeah. It's like
yeah.
What do you think, Andrew?
There's 10 buttons on the right side of the steering wheel. That's insane.
That's a lot of buttons.
And then there's probably another 10 on the other side.
People...
well, because that's the thing. Because I was, sorry,
no, go ahead, go please.
Well, I was gonna say with I was getting this post ready about like the ergonomics of interiors on cars, and you see like with the BMW, for instance, how they have their cruise control switches on the left side of the steering wheel, and you can see this on the Toyota too. There's just so many buttons for cruise control, and it's like all you really need for cruise control is just an on-off button. So turn the cruise control on to your desired speed, and then increase the speed or decrease the speed. And it's like, we don't need all these buttons for cruise control. Cause like some of it, like, maybe not in the Toyota, for example, but like BMW, there's like the limit, like how fast can the cruise control go up to? And it's just like, it's so overwhelming when you get to the car. And then when you look at like the keystrokes, it's like some of these buttons are really never pressed. So then why do you need them as a full functional button if you don't really use them that much? And then you end up getting a car like this Toyota where it's just like very overwhelming. And I think some cars kind of go down like the minimalist approach, like a Tesla, for instance, which I think works well once you're really used to it. But like maybe if you get in a Tesla for the first time, you're going to be kind of overwhelmed with how minimalist it is. But then in this Toyota, it's just like there's a lot going on the steering wheel, and it's like maybe we could share buttons for different purposes too. Like maybe the um some of these menu scrolling buttons could be used for maybe choosing a different song too. Maybe we don't need like a next track song and all this stuff. So I don't know. I think it is a little overwhelming for sure. I do agree with you, Martin.
Right. Like Tesla manages to do a lot of this stuff with 2 buttons. You know,
Yep, and good
yeah,
software.
they press in, they press sideways, they scroll, and there's 2 of them. That can, yeah. I think a lot of this is down to just trying to take buttons or functions off the screen. Like there's a lot of complaints about screens kind of taking over cars nowadays, and it takes more time, and you have to take your eyes off the road to see stuff. So just put it all on the steering wheel, I guess. Anything that you need to practically do, which I think that's a decent compromise actually, but I still don't like the way you do it. You can do it with fewer buttons. Like you can see Rivian's new vehicles. They always also have like two buttons, one on each side, but they have like multi-function. They can press in, they go sideways, they scroll, they do all these little, like a lot of things with like just two buttons. And I guess it might take a while for the older automakers to kind of figure this stuff out. But
yeah,
but this
there's something about Toyota steering wheels that feels like it's just all there. It's just that middle bit is just so big. And it's the same. It's like that's not just for this vehicle. They do it with the yoke that they debuted as well. It just feels really just kind of oversized, a bit like Tonka Toy or my first steering wheel, kind of like toddler steering wheel. There's just something kind of really overwhelming about it that I find it really hard to put my finger on. That doesn't feel aesthetically pleasing to me. But I mean, look at me. Here I am wearing my white polo shirt today. I'm hardly the back style. So
you are a fashion icon, Martin.
Probably nothing, but there's just something about the Toyota interiors that feels a little bit stuck in the past. Now that looks nice, though. Moon roof or all glass panoramic roof there. The seats look quite nice. Looks like is that a gear selector in the middle as well that you just kind of rest your hand down on to do some gear selection. So all kind of the constituent parts are all there, I think. Yeah, it's just that steering wheel. And the screen doesn't look massively imposing. Hopefully they get the sort of the tactile bits, the physical buttons there. But yeah, who'd be an automaker? Because no one's ever happy. I complain that they took away all the buttons, and then when Toyota go, have all of the buttons back. You have every button you want. I'm still not happy. So who'd be a car maker? Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. Loads of safety features as well in this, which is good. Dual Bluetooth phone connectivity, which I suppose
that's pretty cool.
Oh, at the same time, I guess that maybe that's handy at the same time. Yeah, I guess as an EV, this is a bit like the old Mazda MX-30 problem. As a design, I like the Mazda MX-30. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Looks great. I like the quirkiness of the coach doors, but as an EV, it's a terrible electric vehicle, scraping into 100 miles of range. But otherwise, I like that. It's nice to look at, and I like many bits of this. It just feels like for the world's biggest automaker, that is, hope you would think pretty well chock full of talented, decent engineers with access to pretty much any supply chain they want, being Toyota. When you pick up the phone and it's Toyota on the other end wanting to order some bits, you probably take that call. Why it's such a sort of substandard EV, but then bits of it, confusingly, it's like really, really quick, like 5 seconds, 0 to 62. So then they've kind of over-engineered that bit, but the charging is really bad and the efficiency doesn't look great. Shame they missed out on 300 miles. Look, a lot of it depends on price. What are your guys' thoughts on price? Andrew, where does this need to land? Because if it's a Nero Kona competitor, if it's that segment below an Ioniq 5 or a Kia EV6, if it's, new Bolt territory, that could be really interesting. A lot of Toyota fans just go in and, hand in the old one, get the new one. Where do you think this one might land price-wise? Where would you like it to be?
I have three prices. The price where I think it would be nice to be at is like 35,000. I don't think that's
Right.
going to happen. I think a competitive price would be like 39, 40,000. And then I think the realistic price is probably going to actually end up at is going to be around 45. That would be the three magic numbers for me. What about you, Dominic?
Man, 45 is pushing it because I'm expecting there not to be a federal tax incentive by the time this thing comes out. I kind of think they're on their own with that, and then too, it's not made in the U.S., so wouldn't get it anyway. So unless you lease it, so yeah, man, I really like 35, 37. That's kind of like the magic territory for this. I think it's where the BZ4X is now in that neighborhood, and it's really helped it start actually move units that like didn't sell at all at first when they had it up in the 40s to begin with, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think it was around like 42 or 44 brand new, which was like impossible to justify. But like now I think at like 37, it's like, okay, that's not a bad price.
Right, but this is coming like a big battery. Is that that BZ4X that is that low? That's a smaller battery and that's a front wheel drive. So this is all wheel drive with a big battery. Man, it's going to be like at least 42. I feel like I don't really hope it doesn't get above that much, but like you say, I really feel like 45 is probably where it's going to be, which I think makes it a little trickier to sell. But it depends, I guess. But it has a Toyota name and it does a lot of good stuff. It does a lot of stuff right. So if you have the money, if you have the budget, I can. It does make sense, I think, to get this over, like a Camry or not a Camry. What's a small crossover in the Toyota line? I don't know the gas crossovers.
Oh, the Toyota.
A Toyota, Corolla Cross.
Yeah,
Corolla Cross. Yeah, which a friend of mine, a friend of mine owns one. I just found out the other day. And it's a kind of a neat looking vehicle. Yeah, this would definitely, man, it's a hard. So if you're not like an EV enthusiast or not like really psyched about that technology, that's what it's going to compete with. It's going to win you over from the Toyota Corolla Cross, which is, pretty cool, pretty decent car. I think people really like that thing.
Whilst it'll have a lot of fans, I think I'm not in a hurry to go and drive it. I don't think it's going to change anything in terms of the EV landscape, but a lot of Toyota fans, like I say, they go get rid of the old one and get the new one, and it could well be electric, and that's good. More electric cars is good. Before the CHR debuted, Toyota also announced changes to the 2026 model of the only EV that it sells, the BZ4X. There is one in China as well, but at least for the US audience, they're changing the name, called BZ, or I suppose BZ. It gets a visual makeover, and the bigger battery that we've just been talking about, 74.7 or 74.4, also reported. Interesting. It is now called the BZ or BZ. However, this one, 314 miles of range for the front-wheel drive version, which is good. It's up from 252 for the outgoing one. Charging speed, again, still 30 minutes, which they described as the low battery warning light to 80%. I've never in my life heard a car maker say 10 to 80, 20 to 80. I mean, you pick your percentages.
Right.
I've never heard it described as low battery warning light to 80%. Like, that's just... Anyway.
I saw that somewhere, and I had to share that. I'm not sure if it was in the press release or in the video, but yeah.
Amazing. So new e-axles with silicon carbide semiconductors. They're 50% more powerful, so 338 horsepower like the CHR. Front-wheel drive version still 221 horsepower. Again, 5 seconds, 0 to 60. Nicely over 300 miles. There is an entry-level BZ as well with 57.7 battery for 236 miles. Comes with plug and charge, native J3400. They've moved the charge port. With the AC charging is improved like we talk about. The paddle shifters to do the regen. Heat pump appears to come as standard, and again, very similar interior. So a welcome bump. A welcome bump to the BZ4X, or just BZ, as we know.
BZ,
the BZ. And, of course...
Or BZ, I guess. But here in the States, BZ, right? Is that how you say it, Andrew? Or...
Yeah, BZ.
All right.
Okay.
Well, in Canada...
I'll say BZ for you, Martin.
In Canada and the UK, we say Z for the letter Z, for Z.
And well, that means beyond zero in their parlance. So we're having a look on screen right now for our viewers. What is the J3400 North American charging system and NACS? They've subtitled it on screen. Also, the Woodlands, which is the BZ, but 6 inches longer and slightly higher, and looks a little bit more off-roady, a little bit like the, I suppose, Volvo EX30 kind of cross-country that they do. It's not really an off-roader or even a soft-roader, but I guess if you want to look the part and perhaps have a little more capability than, crossing a dirt track, maybe. Then you've got the BZ Woodland, the same platform, but more power, quite a lot more power, 375 horsepower, the same battery pack as well, all-wheel drive, bit more ground clearance. It'll tow more as well, 3,500 pounds, with all-terrain tyres as well, and a low-traction X mode, as it's called. So all that's plasticky stuff around the wheel arches as well that they took away from the BZ is back to give it a more rugged look. I think so. Arrives in early 2026. We might be done with Toyota. What do you think? Any more to add to the party? This Woodland looks quite a bit Cybertrucky at the front,
right? Yeah, I think this is an interesting strategy. So we talked about the CHR, and then we can see. So they've refreshed the BZ, and so basically this refreshed BZ. Is like all the basic components or ingredients for this recipe to make the CHR, and now this BZ variant. I mean, it's like 6 inches longer. It's slightly taller. It's for a bit more. Puts a bit more utility in SUV. Roof racks, whatever. I think it's an interesting strategy, and it's. Going from one car that's kind of mediocre to 3 decent cars, and this one has like more power. Obviously, it's got a beefier
375.
Yeah, 370. That's pretty good. I didn't see the 0 to 60 on it, but I'm sure
I think it's in the Subaru version. It's 4.5. So
right.
This
is like the equivalent of the Subaru Trail Seeker that we saw debut a little while ago, right? Right. So how what was that time again, you say?
4.5, which is pretty good.
That's plenty fast.
Yeah.
That's no one needs to go that fast. Like 5 seconds is like, I feel like it's my cutoff, it's good. But I mean, 4 or 5, yeah, maybe it'll sell cars. I'm not sure if you need that kind of speed to sell this kind of a car. This is really families and I guess young adventurous people. You go biking and camping and things like that. I think it's good. You're a little down on range because of the larger size and everything. 260 miles instead of like the 290 with the CHR, and the BZ4X gets 313, but that's also in just in the front wheel drive version of it. Which don't think this only comes in one trim, basically. There's only one trim, but there is like a premium option pack that you can get that'll give you like the glass roof and a better audio system and better seats and just a few other things. But yeah, I'm not sure if the other ones. I'm not sure what the towing capability of the other ones is, but this one they make a point of saying it's like 3,500 pounds towing. Right from the
They X'd up the Tesla logo on that charger. Did you notice that? They put a piece of tape over it.
Amazing.
Oh, really?
Somebody go get some sticky tape really quickly. We're doing a video. I love it. I wonder if this does Subaru toes. Look at that. Just get some tape. Anybody go get some electrical tape. Good spot, great. Andrew. Good spot. I wonder if this does step on Subaru's toes just a little bit too much. Like if I was obviously Subaru and Toyota, connected. I think if I worked at Subaru, I'd be like, thanks a lot, Toyota. But there we go. That kind of looks interesting. I wonder if people will buy it. Again, lots of Toyota fans out there in the wider audience. It looks kind of interesting. So,
yeah, I think really it comes down to pricing now. It sounds like they got the tech pretty. I mean, for this market, good enough. But really, it just comes down to price. Can they price it, especially I'm hearing. Are you guys all right there? Oh, I think we lost Martin. Can you hear me, Andrew?
I can hear you, Dominic.
Okay. Did you hear a little looping echo?
I did hear a little looping.
Okay. So we're not sure what's up with that. But sometimes Martin's camera just kind of dies. I can hear him still.
Am I still here?
Yeah, we hear
Oh,
you.
wow.
We
Okay.
just
I
can't
wonder.
see you.
This is almost better that you can just hear me.
I mean, we like seeing you. You know,
I'm gonna refresh
a
the
fashion
page and I'll
icon,
go
like I
and come
mentioned
back,
earlier.
all right? Oh no!
No, you're back.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did that.
What do I? And you're coming out of my in terms of the sound and stuff. You're coming out of my computer, but as long as it's not feeding back, then I think we'll get away with it.
Okay. I mean, it sounds a little different than you sound a little different than you did before, but
okay, all right.
Someone
Well,
EV
he needs to go back to. Yeah, you're right. I do. I do need to go back to Windows.
All right. So this Toyota stuff is all pretty interesting, but Martin, you are probably our resident Toyota non-fan, basically, and have some pretty strong opinions about Toyota, I think. So I kind of like to hear what you think about. Is this enough for you to put them over the edge to kind of get them more in your good column? Like if you were Santa, would they be on your good list, or are they still getting coal for Christmas?
Well,
Oops, we can't hear you again. We cannot hear
can you hear me okay now?
Oh, now you can hear it. Now we can. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I'll just use my MacBook microphone for a bit, and I'll work out why it all crashed. Yeah. So that for me, it's if you're going to spend a lot of money with a company, I would like them to be behind the project or behind EVs, and so that's I guess I guess the problem would be for me the sort of the lack of excitement that they have about going electric. So yeah, that's kind of where I am with it, is they don't really seem that bothered about going electric. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And even when you see like Toyota's like reveal videos, obviously that's not like, that's just kind of a very specific thing to look at, but it's like all their nomenclature is just wrong. Like the way that they write like 11 kilowatts, it should just be 11 kilowatts, not like 11 hyphen kilowatts. But I don't know, it just doesn't seem like you wouldn't see that from like a seasoned EV automaker, because everyone's just they're all in on EVs, they're familiar with all the terms and terminologies, and you just don't really see that from Toyota. But I guess besides that, I mean, I think the BZ Woodland is the BZ Woodland is a really cool car. And, it's like, I don't want to say this, but it's like, it's almost like if you want, it's like, oh yeah, it's like if you ask your mom, can we get the Rivian R2? And then she's like, no, we got one at home. It's kind of, it's almost like that, because it is rugged. And the other thing too is with like the Solterra and the BZ4X, right now both those vehicles have 20 inches of water fording capabilities, which is pretty awesome. So it is kind of rugged. You got pretty good approach angles, departure angles, and like over 8 inches of ground clearance. And it's like, I don't know, I think those would be probably kind of exciting cars to take on dirt roads and maybe go through a little stream or river.
Yeah,
that's not too deep.
Yeah, Don was highlighting a quote a moment ago. I'll bring up the headline from this website where Akio Toyota, again, just before they launched these vehicles, they got refreshes and new vehicles to come, and he went out of his way to say, like, we don't like EVs, they're not the answer, hybrids are the answer. We've made 27 million hybrids, and if we'd made like 9 million EVs, they'd be way dirtier. And just like, if you've got nothing nice to say, sometimes don't say anything at all if you want people to go and buy your product. But he just can't help himself. Like, Toyota really, really hate EVs. And so my problem would be spending my hard-earned money with a company that not just isn't really bothered about electrification, but actively really hates EVs. And anytime a journalist says, oh, what do you think of EVs? They're like, oh, they're really disgusting, really dirty. We should be making hybrids, carry on making combustion cars because it decarbonizes is quicker. And they've got some weird formula that the management wheel out every time, which is, we're decarbonizing thanks to hybrids, because our miles per gallon is better than an electric vehicle, because when you charge it, the grid's really dirty. And I've never understood their logic on it. I've never ever once read those quotes and thought, oh, that's logical. That makes sense. All I do is I look at my pure electric car. I look at the solar panels on my roof that are converting sunshine to electrons. And I know that if I sat in a garage with a Toyota hybrid running, by the morning I'd be dead. And, emissions are giving children asthma and cancer and horrible diseases. And Toyota are like, woohoo, we're up for that. And I don't understand that. It's just a weird corporate culture to celebrate like harming people. And so that's kind of where that's where my money lands, is I'd rather spend it with a company that feels like, socially more responsible than one that argues for combustion, argues for burning things, argues for hydrocarbons, argues for particulate matter, but with this weird kind of double-sided, but by going hybrid it's better than, like a 1970s big sort of V8 that does like 10 miles to the gallon. Like, I agree that in the 90s, hybrid was great technology, but now pure EV is the best technology. And they sort of wheel out this weird justification of it because it makes them a ton of money. So, yeah, Dom, that's kind of where I am in it. But also, world's biggest car makers, they're doing something right. I'm an idiot podcaster, so I probably know nothing.
Right. I mean, it's for me, it's like hard to hate on too much. I mean, I don't agree with it's the points that like Akio was making in that interview where he's saying they're dirtier because Japan runs on whatever it runs on. It doesn't run on coal completely. I mean, maybe they have some coal. I don't know. I know they have a lot of natural gas generation. They used to have a lot of nuclear, but regardless, EVs would still be cleaner than their hybrids, I believe, and definitely like on the street level, like all that combustion, all the exhaust fumes, it all has human health effects. Heart and lung disease is a big deal. It would just be nice if it was just go with it. Just like go with this technology. I don't know why, like Gary says here, cars cause cancer, and they kind of sorry. I just threw the whole show off the rails. Oops, my bad. Which it's a point that that we probably car enthusiasts don't talk about enough. Because it's not great to talk about. Who wants to talk about that kind of a downside to a technology that we all kind of enjoy. We love like the roar. I used to love the roar of engines and and racing and all that stuff, but it's not. There's no free lunch, and there can be some serious consequences for some people. But anyway, just get back on track. I am encouraged that Toyota is actually got some decent product now because they are a big company, one of the biggest automakers in the world, or the biggest, and people are going to buy their cars, and it's great that they have more than one mediocre electric option. They have like 3 mediocre. No, they're not mediocre. They're pretty decent. It looks like I think I'm looking forward to trying out that CHR myself. Like, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Just yeah.
However, all of my compliments to these vehicles will be taken back if Toyota doesn't put one-pedal driving in them. So we will see, because they never mentioned that.
Right, it's true. I didn't see anything about. Martin, did you see anything about what was it, Andrew? Sorry,
one pedal.
Just one pedal driving anywhere.
Am I back? I'm back.
You are back.
I sound normal again. No, I didn't say about one pedal driving. Right. Better be there. Hey, Toyota.
Right.
Don't get on Andrews. He looks placid and calm and on screen. He will, he'll write bad things about you.
Right. So was the BZ4X, does it not have one pedal driving?
No one pedal driving. And it has this like weird regen thing. It kind of works, but it's not really strong enough to use one pedal. But then it still creeps. Now, I will say, for like when actually don't want to say that, but like I may or may not have tried to off-road it a little bit. And I will say that in the Solterra, and I will say that not having one pedal driving is kind of nice in a way, just having that little creep mode when you're kind of off-roading, because it's a little easier, because then you just kind of modulate the brake pedal as opposed to modulating the throttle, and then if you need to brake, then you go to the brakes. So I don't know. I mean, but for like everyday driving, it's like we really just need one pedal driving. It makes the EV experience so much better. And for some reason, Toyota and then all of Volkswagen Group are just totally against it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's such a nice experience as long as you can turn it off. As long as you, because my wife prefers to feel like a diesel car. Like she just prefers it to have creep, and she has the way her brain is wired. She wants her foot on the brake because she knows she's braking. Like, she doesn't trust the car, and then she lets it off, and it creeps, and that's an option, and it should always be an option. But I prefer one pedal driving. I prefer maybe 3 stages of regen is probably, in fact, I don't even use 3 stages of regen. I either have one pedal driving on, or if sometimes I'm on the motorway, I could possibly turn it off if I'm just freewheeling, but generally I just modulate my right foot. So I just leave it turned on all the time. But there we go. That's a good shout.
Yeah, I was in an Uber a few weeks back, and it struck me that, man, some people should not have one pedal driving in their cars, because this driver was like on off the whole time. I was going like this, and I'm like, doesn't he? I didn't say anything, because I don't think he would really get it. It wouldn't really make for a great conversation, probably. But I was pretty glad to get out of there. 'Cause it was like super annoying. I'm thinking, oh, if this guy, because he grew up learning how to drive a gas car, you just kind of modulate with the brake, you just hit the gas and you're going, modulate your speed with the brake. But this guy, his gas foot was like this back and forth, and just a really terrible experience. And I've heard other people mention that before, like being in Ubers, especially with drivers like that. And so having the option not to have that experience is great. But I really love one pedal driving. There's a lot of commenters here. And I really hope they have that.
So MB Volk says the best option is, hang on, that's the wrong one. It was
ride or die with one pedal. Somebody's into it.
So one pedal driving off, creep off. Yeah. So creep off, right. I guess creep off. Some it's called sometimes auto hold or something like that. But like when you get to a stop, then it holds it and stops. But then once you're creeping. And yeah, it's particularly something in the comments about reversing as well. I totally agree. I actually love one pedal driving, apart from if I'm trying to go back really close to my garage. Or at the minute, we have a trailer for a few weeks. And I don't want it to get stolen from the driveway. It probably wouldn't. There's a big lock on the wheel as well. And I want to get it nice and close to the trailer. And last night, I was reversing it, even with the backup camera and stuff like that. I'm like, I'd just rather let my foot off the brake and just let it creep and then stop again. But anyway, it just felt weird applying the accelerator so close to an obstacle. But there we go. Hey, we should move on. Let's talk about some more battery stuff. This week, General Motors unveiled a new battery chemistry. They're calling it lithium manganese rich. Lithium manganese rich is LMR for short. General Motors have been probably working on this for a very long time. And they are working with their longtime battery partner, LG. Now, of course, they were exclusively LG, and that's why they could call their cars Ultium. And I think, marketing got hold of that. Maybe it was an internal GM thing as well. I don't know. Maybe they all called it Ultium internally. But certainly externally it was called Ultium. Then when they were no longer exclusively with LG, then they had to say, well, we're no longer Ultium. And yet the entity is Ultium Cells LLC. So that's their partner. That's their joint venture. It's a prismatic cell. So until now, GM's been using pouch cells. So these are, bricks, if you like. There's a picture on screen right now. They're, solid. They hold 33% more energy than an LFP cell that costs the same. So the point being, we can reduce the price of the vehicles. We can have nice, either maintain the range and reduce the price, or maintain the price, have 33% more range. And Kurt Kelsey, who is their absolute rock star, VP of Battery Propulsion and Sustainability at GM, said this week something like, we're pioneering manganese-rich battery technology to unlock range and performance, but it's all about being affordable, right? Because they're not, they've got those premium brands, but they were all about affordability, and they're looking at new ways of engineering different battery chemistries. They still use high nickel batteries. They still use lithium iron phosphate solutions, but this is something new that they're talking about. They started looking at cells back in 2015, and then, of course, various partnerships, particularly with LG, very close partner, joint venture, like I say, with Ultium. And so that is really interesting. And Ford announced something similar, didn't they, Dom? Just a few weeks ago, looking at some new battery chemistries as well, low cost like LFP, but more energy dense.
Yeah, it's still a little early. I think in the Ford camp, they're doing their own in-house development of LMR as well, and it doesn't sound like they're quite as close to like GM is saying they want to have this in commercial production in 2028. So that's just 2.5 years basically from now, or 2.5, 3 years. Ford is saying the end of the decade, so 2030. So it sounds like, in reading through their story about it, they had one of their gentleman there he made a post about it on LinkedIn. Actually, you probably saw this, Andrew. You're always on LinkedIn. Charles Poon, director of electrified propulsion engineering, has a big thing on his LinkedIn profile. Ford makes breakthrough with LMR battery technology, targeting more affordable long-range electric vehicles by the end of the decade. So, but this doesn't sound like they're quite. I mean, they're both LMR batteries, but they're being developed separately, and it sounds like Ford has more challenges, but they have possibly a better cell, and if they can get everything working properly, they could have an advantage eventually. It sounds like their cells are more energy dense than the regular NMC cells that we use today, where the one from GM is down on energy density. So it's like a LFP cell, which is like 175 watt hours to 200 watt hours per kilogram, which is is way better than LFP was back in the day, but still, yeah. Lionel saying, I think LMR may be a bit closer to reality than solid state. Sounds to me like they're about neck and neck. There's like semi-solid state out now, like NIO is using in China. There was one solid state battery in China, but I'm not sure how good it was, or it didn't really seem to blow up. So it quietly went away. But I do think that there's so many people with their fingers in making solid state batteries that we will most definitely, I think, see that by 2028, if not sooner, in a few, at least, but with a few different brands.
Yeah, people often talk about when battery, and we're gonna we'll solve all these problems and things like that. But it's difficult. The great EVs are on the road right now, not only in many countries like China are doing pretty well, but I think everywhere are more than acceptable.
Your audio does some. You're hearing weird things in your audio, Andrew?
I heard the weird audio as well.
Okay.
It was like kind of crackly.
Yeah, cool. Right. Okay. I won't touch anything. Yeah, I think, but new battery chemistry is always very interesting when it reduces cost. Andrew, what are your thoughts on, where we are with batteries at the minute? It's not like we desperately need new technology to make great EVs. There's lots of great EVs out there at the moment. But innovation's coming down the road. I like the idea of price being reduced rather than performance better. Because, we all like to get something a little bit cheaper, don't we? What are your thoughts on sort of battery technology?
Well, I have a question, because is it 33% more energy, or is it 33% more energy dense? Because that was a big thing, and Tesla did this with their marketing of the 4680 cells. Yeah. Tesla was like, like 5 times more energy. And it was like, well, yeah, just because the cell itself is much bigger than the 198 or I forgot what cell they were comparing it to.
Yeah.
But they were like, just the cells were physically larger. So like, of course it had 5 times more energy.
I saw that as well.
A larger cell.
Yeah. And I think this was talking about 33% more energy dense compared to LFP for the same price, I think.
That's a big news then.
Yeah.
For sure. Because energy density is huge. And especially if you can get the same price, much more energy density, that's great. And then obviously you might have to look at the weight, because it could have increased weight, or maybe not, we don't know. I didn't read all the specificities of it, but I think that's big news, especially if you can get more energy density for less price or same price.
But then it kind of makes LFP like what's it called? Not needed. Basically, it's old technology. Then, if you can get the same or better energy density, the same price, what happens to LFP? Does it all just kind of dry up?
Yeah, well, I think one of the comments just mentioned something about the like production, and that's usually like the big bottleneck with a lot of these cells. It's like because I talked with a professor at Stanford who was working on this lithium metal batteries, and basically they were able to reverse degradation with these cells, but none of this was translated to the real world. It was all just purely theoretical, individual cells. And then you're like, well, if you extrapolate this to the real world, it's like, but how do you implement it into a real world product? Because right now you're just looking at like like I believe it was like coin cells they were using. And it's like, okay, a coin cell is different than, a 100 kWh battery pack in a F-150 Lightning or something like that. So I think, all this theoretical stuff is really great, and it definitely will continue the evolution of these batteries. But I really look to the day when is this actually implemented into a car, and what are the real world results we can actually see? So,
Sure.
because all this stuff is like, there was, I forgot what Chinese automaker it was. Maybe it was NIO, maybe it was Xpeng, but they were like, okay, we got this new solid state battery that will go 600 miles on a single charge. But it's like, how do you actually validate that? Because right now we could just be looking at a solid state battery cell in a lab that we don't even know how long it will last. We don't know anything about it. We don't know how much it costs to manufacture. And then they just look at the energy in that, and they're like, well, if you filled up a battery with them, then it can go this many miles. And it's like, but can you manufacture that many batteries? And then how long will they last? Is there a fire risk, etc.?
Yeah.
So I don't know. With all these like announcements, it's just purely theoretical. So I don't know. It's exciting though, for sure.
That was the NIO. That was NIO. They have a 150 kilowatt hour battery with this semi-solid state, but that one's got like the gravimetric density is 350 watt hours per kilogram, which is really good. It's even better than we did a standalone episode with the gentleman from QuantumScape a few weeks ago, and that was a great video just to learn about how battery or solid state batteries kind of work and everything. I highly recommend. And the anode free technology as well. There's some really key points in that video. So if you haven't seen it, please check that out. But I forgot what I was saying about it now, though. So they have really good. NIO has really good energy density in the semi-solid state, which is good enough. And but like to your point, it's not here in the US. We can't really do anything about it really now, and it doesn't really affect us in any way. But it is in other markets happening, and I believe Europe will probably get that battery before too long as well, right? So
yeah. But like I say, what's on the road right now is plenty good enough to make some fantastic electric vehicles. Now, earlier on this week on Battery Bargains, we were talking about Hummer EV versus Silverado. One of our viewers asking about what choice they should get because they get free workplace charging for their 9-10 hour shift on AC, which is great. I mean, if you can charge at work, and that would give you, we were talking about efficiency of vehicles. So go and check out that episode and the one that we finally recommended. But GMC announced its 2026 edition of the Hummer EV. For the model year, it gets even more power and at least one new trim level. And the crab mode has got even better, and they're calling it King Crab mode. Okay, so King Crab is an improved dynamic rear wheel steering system. For next year's model year, the 3X versions of the pickup and the SUV are available in a trim called Carbon Fiber Edition. It's a limited trim, mostly an appearance package. GMC says that through software optimization and propulsion calibration, it can now launch to 60 miles an hour in 2.8 seconds. They say 2.8 seconds. That's faster than a Tesla Model 3 Performance Highland. Anyway, let's get back to King Crab. GMC says when you activate the King Crab mode, the rear wheels now turn significantly faster than the front wheels, which gives you a lot more maneuverability, they say. We've got some video on screen right now for our audience who like to watch the show. And it does look like it is significantly different. Sometimes on rear wheel steering, you can't always see it externally. You can feel it when you're driving, but you can't always see it too obviously. But this one's like one of my kids' Meccano toys or something, or not Meccano, but like Lego toys. That has proper, you actually physically see the wheels, like the big chunky tires really turning. It's standard across the 2X and 3X pickup and SUV trim. It's available to previous Hummer EV model years with an over-the-air update. So this isn't an engineering change by the look of this one. This is something that they've been able to add with an over-the-air update. Is that a chargeable update? I know, Dom, you looked into this story this week.
It's free.
It's a free update.
It's free. Imagine the world we live in is just like kind of amazing sometimes, kind of terrible sometimes, but also kind of amazing sometimes. Like the Hummer. It's like a huge, not super environmentally friendly. Some people who live in cities really hate the idea of Hummers on their streets, and I get that. But on the other hand, we've also managed to make this huge thing that gets like the equivalent of 53 miles a gallon, which is 9,000 pounds, but gets better than like the old Prius basically.
Wow, it looks pretty impressive. What's fascinating is it's free to existing owners.
Right. Yeah, that's like, I don't know. It's just like we live in a new world, but you'd think they would charge whatever they possibly could. Actually, why not make like
an change? I just presume it was next model year they had a new part available or something that they were able to do it with.
Right. No, it looks like they're just reprogrammed exactly. So they're making the back wheels spin faster than the front wheels, so that'll with the steering angle put in there. And maybe Andrew can speak to this better than I can, since he has like a degree in mechanical engineering
graduate.
Which actually, go ahead, Andrew.
Well, I was gonna say, could you imagine like going like 15 years ago and then mentioning someone like, yeah, like pretty soon your Hummer is gonna get an update over the air where the back wheels turn faster, and you're just like, what? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's pretty exciting. And the thing is, I used to kind of dislike this car, but now I think it's really grown on me. And I think it's exciting. I think it's cool. And used prices are coming down. They're not quite in the affordable category yet. They're still in the upper 60s, low 70s at the minimum. But I don't know. I mean, and they're not selling that poorly either. I think GM pushed around 3,300 units in Q1 2025, which is about half of the Cybertruck, about half of the F-150 Lightning. But I don't know. I think it's pretty sweet.
Have you driven one?
I have not. I'd love to, though.
Okay. Yeah, that's what put it over the edge for me. Like I was lucky enough to get on the first drive program for this one, and yeah, it was just like a blast to drive. It's just you hit the gas, hit the accelerator, and the front end kind of pops up a bit, and it just feels like a big Jeep kind of. And you take the roof panels off, it's got a pump and stereo, and it's just so large, which is it's not no good for like the city environment so much. It really fills a lane basically. But for a lot of America doesn't have that many really tight city spaces. I mean, there's lots of places in America that can deal with this size of vehicle. And
you got rear wheel steering though.
I see pickup trucks every day that are this large or bigger. I saw one the other day. It was like a 4-wheel drive, heavy duty, jacked up. And it just like huge. It had a long bed on it, with 4 doors, of course. And it was just like huge compared to this. Well, this is probably heavier, but still. Yeah, it's just a lot. Anyway, it's just a lot of fun to drive. But like I say, it's not for everyone, and it shouldn't be really. It's expensive. But I'm just happy we have this option rather than people stuck driving just like gas versions of this basically.
Now, are those buybacks the ones in the low 60s?
I don't know. I just said
I think so. Yeah.
Wait, maybe if you scroll up a little bit. if you scroll up, you can go on the sidebar to filter out the ones with like accidents and bad titles.
Down the other way.
Yeah.
Down the
Clean
other way.
title.
Oh,
it was just
sorry.
up there.
Sorry.
Oh, was it? Sorry.
So,
yeah, keep going up a little bit.
Okay, this isn't.
There you go.
Okay, so
clean title.
Clean title.
No
accidents. Yes, that's my standard.
Oh look, there's
setting.
one for 5,500. That's not bad.
What? How many miles?
Starts at 69 by the look of it.
Okay.
What was that? 69, 69. That's it was $5,000. There's a mistake. So, it's not $5,000. But heck, look at that! 17,000 miles, 18,000 miles on a 69,000 car. The 3X trim, Edition 1 trim. Like these vehicles are still going to feel really new. And like if you need something, if you want something, if you have the space. If you don't mind the efficiency, our viewer this week that had free workplace charging during
that would be awesome.
Like
free workplace charging with that would be so great.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack. And you know, be crazy. What if that guy or girl, whoever that is, uses that free charging, and then they drive the Hummer back to their house, and then have like another EV, and then they just start charging the other EV with the Hummer.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
True.
Well, that's what I was thinking with the because the Cybertruck, they were doing free charging for a lifetime. I think last December, I don't even remember when, but it was free supercharging. And it's like, if you have like a Powerwall at your house, it's like you could just use the free supercharging, charge up your Cybertruck, drive it back to your house, and then backfeed the energy back into your house.
Wow.
And then you don't need to pay anything for electricity. And that would be great in California, where it's like 40 cents a kilowatt hour for electricity.
So that brings me to this other point. So for 2026, the Hummer gets bi-directional charging capability for both vehicle to vehicle and vehicle to home. So it can do that. It's like just now, relates to 2026 is, I'm not sure if this is something that, the older Hummers will get or not. Maybe not. I'm thinking there might be a little hardware change here, but still, like your point is like valid though. You could the guy could drive this to work, charge it up, bring it home, vehicle to vehicle charge. His Chevy, he stays in the Chevy family. This our caller worked for GM. He works for GM, and I believe that's the gentleman. I think he listens to our podcast about cars while he's building cars, and I thought that was just great.
And so it said here, I'm an hourly UAW represented GM employee, so I'm a little bit biased. He said, this is turning into a recommendation to watch our midweek show. But yeah, there's 50. So where he works at the facility, there's 50 6-kilowatt flow chargers that are rarely full, and he does the third shift, does the overnight shift, I think, or the late shift, and so it's going to be really quiet. And even with the massive inefficiency of the Hummer, then dude, awesome! That's just so cool. Like. Charge up at work and, take it home.
I think we calculated that it would take him the whole shift basically to replace in the worst days, probably use like 50 kilowatt hours to get to his commute.
Oh, the round
back and forth. So to replace that energy.
Well, how far?
He was like,
how far does he live?
50 miles from
It's like 40 miles or 40 miles of highway, 48 miles or something.
Yeah.
So I was thinking like 50 kilowatt hours of energy probably in the wintertime. He works at the third shift, so it's also at night, the coldest part of the day.
Yeah.
So it would take like the whole, because of these flow chargers are only 6 kilowatts. The Hummer can handle, I think it's 11 kilowatts AC charging if they had more powerful charger to plug into, and then there's the optional, I think 19 and a half or 20 kilowatts.
Yeah, that's awesome, the 19 one. But it's really hard to find 19.2 or 80 amp public chargers.
Right, but you could fill up with 20 kilowatts. You could fill up, replace your 50 kilowatt hours in like a couple hours, basically. Yeah. So 2026 Hummer. It's not some nice upgrades. I think it's
For sure.
GM's doing way better than I thought they would with this. Actually,
yeah, like it's still a caricature, but I kind of like it. It makes me smile, and that's like cars should make you smile and make you feel good. We should probably talk about another big success story this week, which was Slate. We heard the news from Slate. In fact, before I start with Slate, I should probably give some sort of apology to Slate because the CEO of Slate had said, after tax credit, it's less than $20,000. And I'd said maybe she shouldn't be saying that because it's likely that with the budgetary process in the US that by December 31st, that bit of the Inflation Reduction Act or whatever the exact legislation is going to go, and it'll go through the budget process. It can't be just got rid of at the stroke of a pen because it's been signed into law, and so it's likely that the federal tax credit as we know it is going to go almost certainly in the US by the end of the year. And I said perhaps the CEO probably shouldn't be advertising the post tax credit price as it's going to be a 2026 vehicle. When the tax credit, as we know it, won't be around. And then the news this week suggested that if they, again, I'm no expert on American politics, but if they remove that bit of the tax credit, the $7,500 Inflation Reduction Act thing, that actually what is left in the underlying, I guess, rule book, law book, whatever,
yes,
is the old numbers.
George Bush's tax credit. The
Right.
one signed in 07 or 08.
Yeah,
Yep.
tax credit based on how many vehicles have been sold, which really penalized Tesla and Nissan for being early adopters. And it killed early adopters as well, because well, why would I be first? Because they got to 200,000 and then lost it, and they took all the risk. But actually, I think it's 200,000. Actually, if that sticks around, I think that would still be in play for 12 more months. So it'll be December 31st, 2026. Actually, Rivian with the R2, Slate with their truck, it gives them a massive impetus to get anything out in 2026 they can, even if it's that it will be the higher priced versions in Rivian's case, and they would start with
maybe even Toyota and Subaru as well.
Right, because they haven't hit the 200,000, and so
Toyota has or it's brought there because the hybrids are involved with this as well.
Yeah.
They
really?
have the plug-in hybrids.
Primes. They probably sold a lot of the
I think they're right up against
Primes.
Yeah. Which is fascinating that actually maybe she should be talking about the price without the tax credit because there's every chance that even if the existing one goes, we'll revert to what you used to have, which is amazing. I had no idea. And it's good news. Good news that people would still get money off some vehicles. It wouldn't be everything, obviously. But yeah, Slate and Rivian R2 and all those kind of things. Yeah.
Tom disagrees. Actually,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I was just going to point out really quick that Tom, our regular host Tom Malogny, is in the comments today. He couldn't be with us unfortunately, but he is in the comments and he says they definitely shouldn't advertise it with any incentives included. Which I'm kind of on Tom's side there because it's really hard to know what's going to happen in the future. Things are. Just recently, there's been a lot of uncertainty with economic policy for reasons, and so I feel like it's hard to really count on this thing being available. But if it is, it's going to be a big deal for it could be a big deal for Slate, and it could be a really big deal for Rivian with the R2 because they'll have it basically all of 2026 to offer the $7,500 rebate to customers buying the R2, which will put a lot of people over the edge because I think that's going to be a hugely popular vehicle, right, Andrew?
Obviously, they are trying to get it out of the door as quick. They are just pedaling as fast as they can. It does give them, if it's possible, even more impetus to get something out as early as possible, the highest possible price trim, the ones that are going to be most profitable to make. But everyone who's not hit that limit. To get it out and to get some money off the vehicles. I think it's really a rare piece of good news.
Now, there is one slight caveat, I believe.
Right.
So in the original tax credit, this is going to function as like an actual tax credit as opposed to like a point of sale rebate. So basically, the first EV tax credit was like, say you made, I don't know, 80,000 in a year and you paid 10,000 in federal taxes in your income. Then this tax credit, you'll pay the full sticker price of the car, say it's, I don't know, 30 grand. And then you will get the tax credit the following tax season off your taxes. So maybe you paid 10,000 in federal taxes, then you would get a check back for $7,500. Or if you're like a contract worker, then, if you're working on contract, then when you pay all your taxes in tax season, you owe $10,000, for instance, then you'd get $7,500 taken off that. But if you didn't pay that much money in taxes, so say you paid $5,000 in federal taxes, then you'd only get $5,000 of that $7,500 tax credit. So slightly different. If you pay over $7,500 in taxes, it won't really matter that much, but you just won't get the money off the price of the vehicle.
Yes.
Great point.
Still will make the car cheaper. But it's not as nice as the tax credits are now, where they're like, all right, cars $40,000, you get it right now for $32,500, and it's like that works great right now.
Yeah,
right.
But it won't be like that if provisions of the IRA get removed.
Yeah. Right. So they're not killing they're not killing the original legislation. They're just killing the improvements that were made.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
That should be, because the original George Bush signed tax credit that lasted through the first Trump administration, and then
they left that. I'm glad we have you here, Andrew, so that you can fill us in on on this. And Slate are already halfway there, by the way, because Slate confirmed this week 100,000 reservations in 2 weeks. They are refundable reservations, of course. They also talked about their investment, and there's been a lot made of Jeff Bezos and his Amazon connection, and wow, it's a highly customizable truck, and it's going to rely on an ecosystem of accessories, and that really suits Amazon, because where would you buy them? And they made the point clear that yes, they've gone through 2 funding rounds, Series A, Series B funding, $700 million raised through those 2 rounds, and the latest one closed in 2024, I think the end of the year as well, with Bezos Expeditions. Now, Bezos Expeditions is the vehicle that Jeff Bezos personally uses for his own investments. So, yeah, it's not Amazon, but of course he is intrinsically linked, isn't he? But just to clarify that and clear it up, because there was lots of people joining the dots, and it's not Amazon, not in the way that Rivian was, supported and funded by them. But that's either way, great to have someone like that as part of your backers, your funding. And would probably be at the end of the phone for the CEO if she wanted to give him a call and pick his brains on markets and strategies and things like that. I'm sure he'd take the call. So that is another good bit of news. Yeah, 100,000 got there already. I'm not surprised. They seem to have captured people's imagination.
And I think it's cool too, for sure, like that there's this much interest, because it's like such a different product from literally anything else on the road. And it's like you can customize it to however you like it. And it's not an insane MSRP. Obviously, I know that they're probably gonna make a good amount of profit off of like the accessories. Like, if you want to convert it to an SUV, they'll probably make a good amount of money off of that stuff. But it's like the fact that you can get a blank canvas car and kind of do whatever you want with it for not an astronomical amount of money. Like, because the average new car price is like 46, 47,000 nowadays. And the fact that you got something that's less than half of that with the tax credit, or should I say a little more than half of that without the tax credit, it's like, this is cool. And I'm really excited to see where this goes with interest and sales, and if it will actually come to fruition, because it's still a startup.
Yeah.
Would you buy one, Andrew?
I think, like, I don't really have a use case, because I know when I move out to California, I'll have like one parking spot in my apartment garage. And there is a car that I'm looking at, which is the Dodge Daytona EV, because there's some really crazy lease deals going on them.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think it would be an exciting car. You don't get like adaptive cruise control, which I really like. But I think it's pretty cool. It's probably not the best for me, but I think for a lot of people, it would be pretty awesome vehicle to have in their garage, especially if you got like, you need something to haul stuff around, but you don't want to spend, $40,000 on a Ranger Tacoma, and then you got this. So I think it's cool. I like it.
But you could also go Maverick though.
Yes, but what's crazy about the Maverick is how much more expensive it, because when it came out, it was $19,900.
Right.
And then like just say $1,500 for destination fees. So just say $21,500. And now it's like $30,000 with destination, which is insane. It just got so much more expensive over the years thanks to tariffs. But even besides the tariffs, last year the Maverick was starting at $27,500. Ford was like, okay, there's a lot of interest for this car, we can charge more money. So then they got everyone at that low price back in
Mhm.
22 or 21, whenever it came out. And then they just slowly raised the prices, and people were paying it because they liked it. But now it's no longer the cheap pickup truck that everyone can afford.
Right, but it's still a lot cheaper than other pickup trucks on the
Oh,
market.
for
You
sure.
know, and they own this niche basically. Well, they have this. There's the Nissan has the Frontier. I guess it's kind of similar in size, but
Hmm.
I feel like Ford really kind of owns it, especially if like you want the hybrid version. You know, they have
Yeah.
it's a decent hybrid and super good on gas or whatever.
Hmm.
Super good on gas.
But I always
But
get a little angered when the car prices increase greater than the rates
mm,
of inflation. And that's
mm,
what like even like Tesla, like that's why I've always kind of like their cars, is because their cars have come down in price
Yeah.
over the past, like 5 years. Like Model 3 used to be 45, now it's 42.5, but you get the tax credit, and it's a lot more affordable now. But a lot of these automakers are just really increasing their car prices. And like, even if you look at Porsche's prices have increased way greater than the rate of inflation for the past, 5-10 years. And it's kind of unfortunate because now there's really, not saying Porsches were affordable, but a lot of these cars are becoming way less affordable to people who want to buy them.
Yeah. Well, for
right.
Porsche could survive on the China margins and the cars they were selling there, but unfortunately, a lot of the Western makers, particularly companies like Porsche, have really suffered in China, and so that very profitable bit of the business, I won't call it a gravy train, but they did very well for a long time with it, has all dried up now. So, yeah, they are left with definitely some challenges. Talking about China and how Chinese buyers have moved towards domestic cars. The domestic cars have got a lot better, actually. And we'll end with some eye candy, as we've been doing lately on a couple of podcasts, and just ending on something that looks very nice. This is the Xpeng or Xpeng P7. Now, you may remember the original one was called the Xpeng P7, and then they released the P7 Plus, and now they've released the P7. I mean, they certainly like the nameplate. They keep using it, and this is the new one. And it's very nice, and it looks really lovely, and I really, really, really want one.
Right, it's what a design. So we were just saying like Porsche has gotten really expensive. This is kind of like this is the Xiaopeng or the Xpeng flagship model, and it basically competes with the Porsche Taycan. So, but it's got a lot more room. Like there's a good amount of headroom in the back, from what I hear, and I mean, I love the Taycan design. But this is also pretty sweet. I don't know.
That's really good looking.
Oh my god, it's the same guy who designed the original one, and the original one was fine, but to me it didn't really stand out. But they've really, it's very subtle. Like the things they've
It's
done here to make it good, but man, it
it's
just
such a
comes
unique
together.
design because it's like you get kind of like muscle car vibes up
Yeah,
front because it's a little angular, and then towards the back it almost get like 911 vibes, just with how everything comes to that little point.
yeah,
I don't know. It's a beautiful car.
and yet it's still a 5-door GT that is, practical and will fit loads of people, and we know it'll be very high tech because that's what Chinese domestic buyers want at the moment. They want it to integrate into their lives, their digital lifestyle. So we know it'll be packed full of technology and sensors and autonomy, and yet it's, by going and hiring designers that can make cars like this, and the quality is very good. I was talking to one of our builders yesterday because he's asking me what I think of Polestar, and he's like, "Oh, Swedish and Volvo." I'm like, "Yeah, but also Chinese. Like that's of course, Sweden and whatnot." But ultimately, the car I drive was made there, and it feels as good as anything else that I've driven. It's a 4-year-old car. Nothing rattles. Nothing is starting to get a little bit ropey. Yeah, from that angle, Dom, you can see that
Yeah,
back window. Maybe there's some aero in there. Might just be with the lighting. Yeah, is that an active spoiler that comes up too?
It
Wow.
looks like it might be.
Yeah.
yeah. I just like that it has kind of a boat tail kind of back end on it, which I love. It's really great. Yeah, but so this starts at 41,000 in China, the equivalent of $41,000,
Love that.
and the specs on it are nuts. Like it's great specs. I don't have them on. I didn't I don't have them. Oh, I do actually have the press release right here.
Oh, you do. Look at this.
Yeah, I forgot I have that. It's just looking really quick for some numbers. There's not a whole lot about this about numbers because really they're talking about the talks mostly about the design part. It was designed by Rafik Farage. He's French, from France. Yeah, I'm not seeing any numbers on this particular one, but you know it's going to be good. I mean, the regular P7, the P7 Plus is a pretty decent, good. It's got great all the performance you'll need. I'm sure. I can't think of it. I don't know if it's like 1,000 horsepower or 800, but no doubt it's on an 800-volt platform.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this is what to wrap that up. Porsche needs to compete with, right? They can't keep over $100,000 if their competitors have this compelling a vehicle. If say this comes to Europe, this is going to be like what 80,000 euros.
Yeah,
in my mind.
Just double, take the China price, convert it to US dollars, which you obviously can't do, and then double it, and then you get with import taxes and with shipping and with just the margins, and it's roughly what we'd pay maybe a 70 grand car, 60, 70 grand car.
Well, like how much is a Taycan in? Because at least a Taycan here is around $100,000.
Exactly.
And the thing is, what's so irritating is all the options are a la carte. So it's like, oh, you're spending $100,000 on this car. You don't get ventilated seats. You don't get heated seats. You don't get a good sound system. You don't get adaptive cruise control. You don't get lane center. Like all these features that you want. And then by the time you spec on all those features, it's like, oh, now you just added $15,000. So now you're $115,000. Whereas I would imagine with the with this vehicle, you probably get a decent amount of features as standard, like in a Tesla or like in a Rivian. You get good sound system, you get ventilated seats, like all the features you want, you don't have to pay extra for.
Yeah.
Chinese consumers expect that. It better have a refrigerator too in the armrest.
They always like a refrigerator. They've got to keep their drinks cold and a heater. They turn into heaters as well. This one's saying heat pump as standard, AI features for driver assistance, motorized doors, because closing a door, well, that would be awful. You want the car to do that. And they do give some range numbers, but the Chinese CLTC is always wildly optimistic.
Right. Yeah.
But there we go.
I will say with that rear panel on the vehicle, that would probably be a mess in an accident. If you see right above the rear wheel, that one piece of body where it kind of extends all the way to the front windshield area.
Yeah, that's one single.
So it's just a long body panel. I can imagine if you get like an fender bender back there, that will cost a lot to repair.
Yeah. But you can't really design for accidents. I mean, you can, but it's there's so much to take into consideration when you're designing the car. I mean, the accident part is, basically they want it to look good, but also be easy to manufacture and put together.
Yep.
Basically. Yeah. So sometimes things like it's like the Rivian, they have that big panel in the back. You get hit in the back end. It's going to be super expensive to fix because it's not like you can just replace that panel super easily.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Looks gorgeous. And that's
all right. Yeah, great looking car.
A couple of shows recently, a little bit of eye candy of stuff we can't get. But there we go. That, gentlemen and girls and boys in the audience, is probably us done for another week. Thank you very much for joining us. I think we got away with it, this new platform we've been using, apart from one time. It was my external, don't blame the Mac. Don't blame the Mac. It was the external, what's it called? Dock? Yeah, I guess, yeah, it's a dock. Yeah, right. So that has died on me today. So wonderful. But don't blame the Mac. I won't go back to Windows just yet. So I just plugged it all manually into the computer, and it's all working again now. And we seem to have got away with it in this new platform. It's all good. So, Andrew, for people that don't realize, LinkedIn really is where you spend so much of your time, the kind of infographics and the things that you create for that and the write-ups that you give them. Recently, you're talking about the, America's #1 EV truck, which is always the Cybertruck, but it's got a new leader in town, and it's the old one. Ford F-150.
Lightning's back up.
Lightning back to #1. even then, I mean, look, the numbers are probably not what any of the truck makers would like them to be. I think
No, none of them are like particularly great, which is interesting. So that's and the thing is, all these trucks are so expensive. So it's like, even though the Cybertruck has this new model out, the rear wheel drive that's like 69, it's like, that's not cheap, but like also the base model Lightning with 230 miles of range is like 62.5, and then you add on destination fees, etc. And it's like, none of these electric pickup trucks are affordable. Case in point, the Scout could do really well. Obviously, it's not same size, but it's like, hey, at least you just got an electric pickup truck that's way cheaper. So yeah, I mean, none of these EV truck, or sorry, the Slate. Did I say Scout?
Yeah.
Sorry, they both start with an S. But yeah, so none of these electric trucks on the market. They're just very upstream and they're pretty expensive. So it'd be nice to see some fresh-faced competitors enter the fray.
Yeah, completely. What's the so for anyone watching, recently graduated, entering the world of work, which is great news, but you're not going to slow down on posting all your stuff. How do we find you on LinkedIn? Just like search for your name or something?
Yeah, literally just Andrew Lambrecht on LinkedIn. It's one of my favorite platforms to use. I seem like I'll post on Instagram and I'll get like 2 likes, and then same thing on X or Twitter, I'll just get like not much. But on LinkedIn, people seem to be more interested in the content. So that's where I'm at. I schedule like 3 to 5 posts a week. So if you're interested, please join the conversation there.
Yeah.
Right on.
Get loads of engagement on there, and you get people thoughtful. LinkedIn's great. People are a bit more thoughtful, and they make comments and stuff. So so go and follow Andrew that way. He's no stranger to batteries included. I'm sure we'll have him back as a special guest host at some point soon in the future. And good luck with the move, and good luck with kicking off your career. That's great news. Good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm driving the Model 3 out to California, so that'll be fun. So
nice.
Cool. 3,000 miles. So I'll keep you all posted on that end.
Oh wow,
that's
nice.
perfect. It's perfect length of road trip for me. I think that's awesome.
If I drove 3,000 miles, I'd get wet. This island is too small. Right. So if you would like to subscribe to the channel, it's obviously free to do so on YouTube. You can hit subscribe and the thumbs up, which is the thing that tells other people you might like this show if you like EVs and batteries and things like that. We'll hopefully have Tom Logney back in the house next week. I won't be off to a cabin in the woods. As I found out today, the UK's tallest redwood. So I will leave you with the most boring thing you'll hear all week, but apparently a giant redwood tree that is... I Googled things to do in the place that we're going, expecting to be like, here's a nice picnic area. You can take the kids to this one. It's like, go and see a giant tree. So I'll tell my 2 kids, come with Dad. We're going to go look at the UK's biggest redwood. On that, I feel like I should excuse myself and go before you judge me too much. But I won't be here next week, but you'll be in safe hands, I'm sure.
Take pictures of this tree, man. I didn't know that the UK even had redwood. So like, I want to see it.
Well, you know what? If I can join you for the first 5 minutes. I mean, 5 seconds will be enough.
Or just take a picture and I'll share it with the audience.
Yeah, right. When we get there, I'll take a picture of the UK's tallest redwood, and you can share it with the audience, and that's where we'll be. Yeah, so I won't be around next week, but the podcast will continue because it'll be 20 minutes of me probably sitting in the car, I imagine, when the kids are in bed in the evening, recording EV News Daily. So your EV News Daily podcast will still be around if you need your fix of what's happening in the world of electric vehicles and everything around it in 20 to 30 minutes a day. Well, that's us, another one in the books. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you again very soon. Hey, Tom, on the new platform. Say ciao!